Well, welcome back to Open to Truth, a podcast all about exploring big ideas and discovering truth together. My name's Clint.
Hey, I'm Tony. Welcome back.
Now, this time, I need you to guide me through the morass here.
I'll try.
So what I want to discuss is, and you may have heard of this, it's on everybody's mind, the Metaverse. Wow.
Yeah.
Where to start? Why is it called that? Sounds like universe. Why is it called Metaverse?
What does meta mean in Greek?
Over and above, beyond.
Excellent. So I think that's apt. That's fit. Look, I think there's a lot of confusion around the term metaverse, particularly because Facebook was one of the first big players to sort of try to monopolize the term almost with the rebrand to Meta that we saw recently. So they're not called Facebook anymore. The company's called Meta. Facebook is one of their products, like Instagram or WhatsApp or whatever. But they, along with their rebrand, cast this vision for a future where people are spending more and more time in digital reality. And particularly, Meta is excited about creating virtual social spaces. So if Facebook has always been about connecting with people, that's been their mission, social media, connect people, help people talk, exchange, trade, whatever. The metaverse is the extension of that.
It's 3D rather than 2D.
Maybe.
Do you like that?
No.
Okay.
Here's why. And it's because I think the term has gotten confusing. Because, like, on the one hand, when Facebook talks about what they call Horizons, I think is their app, like in Oculus, in VR, that you can go to these different worlds, and there's people that, like, there are people there in VR, and you're seeing them in a space, and you can interact and make friends if you want. That is just like Facebook, or sorry, I should call them Meta. They're releasing a virtual chat room, you know, that they hope people come to. And they're using the word metaverse, and a lot of people are thinking, oh, Facebook is releasing a metaverse like the Oasis in Ready Player One. They want to be the place where everybody goes to interact.
Yes.
Maybe. That's not really what the word metaverse means or has been used to mean. Here's how I understand it, and I think how people who have been in this space for a while understand the word metaverse, is to refer to all of digital reality, not just Facebook's little virtual reality chat room where you can put on some goggles and chat to people. That would be one small subsection of the metaverse. But I mean, really...
But not me playing Minesweeper on my computer. Is that part of the metaverse?
Here's where I think the line is going to get increasingly blurry. So if we think about the metaverse as being digital reality, a lot of us spend time there already. It's just really clunky. So the time that we're on our phone, interacting with information, interacting with other people, we're doing it with like 2 thumbs and a screen, and we're reading text, and it's like very clunky, but we are interacting with digital realities. We're interacting with information, and but the idea of the metaverse would be that digital reality would increasingly become merged with physical reality. So, for example, and this is where it's worth distinguishing between VR, virtual reality, and AR, or augmented reality, which I actually think will be the bigger technology of the two. So let's start with virtual reality. Virtual reality is when you have the physical world completely replaced by a virtual world. I mean, you know,
in your conscious experience.
In your experience, yeah, it's not actually. But like you put on a headset, like an Oculus Quest is probably the most popular one that's out there at the moment. It blocks out your vision of the real world, and instead you've got a different screen for each eye that's showing you different info so that your brain is calculating depth, and you are tricked into thinking there's a physical space here and there's depth, and I can see that person over there and I can tell when they're close to me. That's virtual reality. And Facebook Horizons, this app that they're releasing and wanting to build out, is a virtual reality app. You would put on an Oculus headset or some other headset, and it would feel like going somewhere to be with other people. Augmented reality is more like a Snapchat filter on your phone. So you are seeing the real world, but it's augmented in some way. Or
Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go is probably the best example of like the first sort of viral augmented reality experience that we've had. So I can hold my phone up and it shows me the park, but I also see a Pikachu right there.
But still mediated through the device.
Still through the device, yep. So the device is doing its best to calculate physical 3D space and then overlay a digital reality on it such that you're seeing both. You now see the physical space and you see this digital reality that's there as well. There's some cool apps out there right now that mess with this. If you've never messed with augmented reality and you just want to see where things are up to, IKEA has an app. I think it's called, I don't know, it might just be the IKEA app. I don't know. But you can try out furniture in your living room, you know? So like, you want to see what a couch would look like in that corner, just hold up your phone, plop the couch down, and it maps it in 360. So it's not just like a picture of a couch on your phone. It's as you move your phone around, the couch is moving around too.
That's
you know,
amazing.
like it's calculating its location in space and maintaining it. So you can imagine down the road, once phones stop becoming the clunky interface that we're dealing with, instead this will be something that you are wearing, like a pair of glasses. So Microsoft is working on their HoloLens, is probably the most promising product that's out there at the moment. Apple is pushing really hard to work on a headset that I think is supposed to come out this year. That's
Wow.
like AR.
They
sometimes
so
call it
fast.
mixed reality. Yeah, it's kind of like a race for this new territory. But I can imagine that it won't be that long before there's some kind of, it can't look too goofy. It can't be too weird. Like Google Glass failed because people started calling each other glass holes, and it just like the branding just went down and never took off. But so it's on that. Oh, you're looking for your drink. So it's got to be comfortable. It's got to look not too weird. But then as you're going through your day, who needs physical monitors anymore? Because you could just have a virtual screen here and a virtual screen here and a virtual screen here. Who needs a TV anymore? Why not just have a part of your wall that is like designated to be the watching part, and anybody who's wearing these glasses sees the same show playing on that part of the wall, you know? Or like, this is, you know, how some people already display their NFTs. This is, and that's a whole other rabbit hole we could go down, but digital art. Okay, maybe I don't need a physical photo frame. Maybe anybody who's wearing the glasses sees the art that I display on my wall. Or if I need directions somewhere, now Google Maps just draws an arrow for me, and I just literally follow the arrow that's in front of me.
Oh man, I didn't think of that one.
Or if I want to go into a store, I could hold up a pair of sneakers and it automatically searches and compares prices against other vendors online or something, you know? I think this is one of those things where we haven't fully figured out what the ultimate use cases will be just yet. Like, you know, when the internet was born, people were excited to get email, but nobody was thinking Tinder would be a thing and that it would like revolutionize dating. So who knows where this ends up? I don't know where metaverse stuff ends up, but at least when I use the word metaverse, and I really think this is how the word should be used, it's to refer to any and all of that layer that's over and above physical reality, that is the informational layer that we've all agreed on, the digital layer that then becomes visible or overlaid on physical reality. That's the metaverse.
That was a very masterful speech about it.
Is that okay?
I think that could be understandable to anybody.
Great. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And what particularly I think is winsome and disarming about it is that the definitional kind of judo move at the beginning of like you already are part of the you're already participating in the metaverse.
Yeah. We're just
kind of like the
bad way,
the crappy Pong version.
That's right. That's right.
As amazing as it is now.
Yeah.
To our eyes, we're at ground zero.
Yeah. This is just the beginning. And so like virtual reality tech has only just recently gotten to the point where it's starting to go mainstream. So this past Christmas, like the Oculus Quest 2 this past Christmas really exploded in a way that it's been out for a couple of years, but
I'm starting to detect a shift in the attitude that people have toward those who have not experienced it yet. There's not quite derision yet, but it's like, oh man, you haven't done that yet?
Oh man, you
it's now taken on the texture of, hey, come be this early adopter, to now it's like, ooh, you haven't done that yet? Oh, you got to get on it.
Oh, you got to try that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
From who I've talked to.
So when I would say it's definitely past the early adoption phase. So back in 2016, 2017, I think is when the first Oculus headset that was consumer version came out. And it was like, you got to be plugged into your computer. So a big cable, you're attached. It's big, it's clunky, it's not that comfortable. And there aren't that many experiences to try because the developers haven't really flooded in yet. And the games are expensive because the market isn't that big. So developers need to make their money back somehow. So there's like not as many people to play with. The technology is clunkier, it's more expensive, and you're getting less for it. Now we're at the point.
And you need to be connected to Wi-Fi?
Depending on the experience. If you want to do something that interacts with other people, sure. Yeah. But like if you wanted to watch a movie in a virtual cinema, you don't need to go online.
Oh,
for that.
really? Really?
No.
Just on the battery power of it?
Yeah. Yeah. If you've downloaded the file, I mean, you can, it's just running the Android OS. So you can put any files on there like you could on an Android phone.
Okay.
And
just because I haven't seen anyone out in public with one.
right.
Have you? Like at a Panera, just sitting there with their Oculus on?
Not at a Panera. I know some people on planes and stuff now. It's becoming more normal to just chuck a headset on, and why not? Instead of watching a movie on this tiny screen, why not imagine I'm in a theater by myself? Yeah. So I don't know. I think the form factor needs to get a little bit less dorky before it becomes more commonplace. Yeah. I think it looks goofy still, the headset. It's pretty big. But like if Apple, I mean, everything Apple does is sexy and minimalist, you know? So if they design a mixed reality headset that can flip between AR and VR, like if it does both, and it's like, it's Apple style, I think it'll do really well.
It's gotta be so hard for these companies, and that's why the CEOs make so much money. The decision of, do we get first to market with something that is going to be just a little bit worse than your competitor who, however many months and however much better, just that sliding scale of what's going to be most successful. Because if you come too early and yours is totally crap compared to the one that's 3 months later, you're toast.
You're toast. Yeah, but if you wait too long and somebody else gets first mover advantage, because like now...
And you don't make that much better of a thing.
Exactly. Because like this is at the point, this is what I think Facebook has done well, is they've got they acquired Oculus years ago. So they now got this Oculus headset. And if you look at Steam, it's something like, it's definitely over half. Most people who have a VR headset have an Oculus Quest. It's not the Valve Index. It's not the other ones.
Oh,
You're like, I couldn't even name the other ones.
No, I haven't never heard of those.
So if they've got the hardware and everybody's going to the Oculus store to buy their apps, they have this whole ecosystem that they're wanting to funnel people into, like the Apple ecosystem with iTunes and all of that. So it'll be interesting to see how Apple tries to steal market share there. I don't know. Ultimately, I think it's good for us as consumers. This kind of competition, it's going to lead to better technology, lower prices. We're going to win. So, but yeah, you're right. These big boys are all fighting it out. And you're seeing all the big companies are talking about it. I mean, Microsoft is definitely working on the tech side, and they just acquired Activision Blizzard. They've got like games they're trying to incorporate in some of this stuff. I don't know if you wanted to touch on, but another area of overlap is the NFT piece. Was that part of this episode, or do you just want to stick to Metaverse?
Oh, sure. We can go there for a little bit. It gets super, I think like another
Surface
layer
level.
Deep, it gets too complicated.
Too weird. Okay.
But yeah, that's helpful.
Well, okay. I'll keep it very light then.
Like how it relates to the VR stuff.
Yeah, you might have heard of NFTs, probably have non-fungible tokens. I'll keep it very surface level, but the idea is that technology now has reached a point where digital ownership is possible and verifiable without any need for a trusted third party.
With the crypto blockchain stuff.
Yeah, with all of that stuff. So you could think about NFTs as almost being like barcodes. It's a piece of technology that enables people to identify a specific item and its owner, who it belongs to, right? So there's a lot that could be said about the various schemes and scams that are out there around in this space. It's the Wild West for sure. But the future, or the dream would be, I don't know, did you hear about GameStop and Immutable X recently, that partnership? That doesn't ring a bell? Okay. So I won't spend too long on GameStop, but I am going to name drop them here. So the idea is that in the future, here, you and I are both gamers. We play games. Some of these games, you collect items, like World of Warcraft. You've got swords or something that you're getting. And when you're done with the game, like, you just log out and you never log back in. And any of the time that you had spent acquiring that stuff is just a nice memory that you have. But the idea going forward would be that games would be designed in such a way that you really can own the property within the game, outside of the game. And this is where people get confused. Like, for example, I don't mean, for example, that you will take your Thunder Fury from World of Warcraft and bring it into Call of Duty and start slicing people up. Like that program, that is ridiculous. But
it can go into your little NFT bag.
Well, yeah, this is what's happening is GameStop is positioning themselves to be like the auction house between all the games. So you want to sell your Thunder Fury, you can do that, sell it on GameStop, and then buy a skin for Call of Duty, you know? Oh. So you are transferring your economic energy or your investment in one game across all the games that you play.
That's a cool idea.
And the digital property is just as real and economically valuable as physical property.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
And it could go down in value in virtue
sure.
of like the servers of the game close, and now I can't play my World of Warcraft.
So who's going to buy a Thunder Fury? Sure. Yeah. Still subject to market conditions and all of that. But at least the property, the ownership aspect, and then the commerce aspect, the technology is now in place to allow that to happen. So, because I want to be able to own stuff in the metaverse. I want to be able to own parts of digital reality. So, yeah, again, there's plenty of rabbit holes there with NFTs we could go down. But I think one of the things that this leads to is a discussion of like, well, but is it real?
I want to know about that a little bit more.
Is any of this stuff real? Because people are spending, I mean, a lot of money on some of these NFTs, which at the moment, a lot of them don't have many use cases. It's essentially a picture that you're paying for. People want to know, what are you really buying, you know?
I mean, I'm not initially too hung up on that. That doesn't like keep me up at night.
Right. Is virtual reality real?
Right. Because it's, to me, that's conflating just that being real means something is physical.
Yeah.
And at the very least, as someone who is a substance dualist that thinks God exists and God is a spirit, call me crazy, burn me at the stake, then I'm already comfortable with something being real that's non-physical.
You're already free of that.
Now, yeah, I mean, I guess to me that's enough for me
that
to not be
discussion.
worried about it. It's real in the sense that it carries value. Just like anything else.
It matters to people. So like, yeah. Well, I can imagine, I've heard criticisms, you know, you and I are both gamers, so we're probably pretty sympathetic to wanting our endeavors in games to carry meaning or have value in some way. But the criticism of like, oh, your achievement in a game, it's not real. It's like, well, but the game is real, and I really did play it with other people, and I really did achieve this thing in the game, you know? So we can say, yes, I didn't climb a mountain in real life, but there is enough of a...
Do you think games... Sorry, this is totally insider baseball. Could they make NFT an achievement you got in a game? Like some of original... Or the Mario 64 to get all 120 stars.
Yeah.
Like, let's just say you have there's a little badge that you get.
Yeah.
Could that be an NFT, like achievements within games?
Well, they're definitely, what you're describing sounds like, are they called POAPs right now? POAP, proof of attendance protocol, maybe? Like, I'm thinking with an achievement NFT like that, you wouldn't want to sell it because if somebody could buy it, it becomes meaningless, right?
Yes.
You need to have done the achievement.
Just for displaying, like art. Yeah.
Yeah. I see no reason why they couldn't do that. If they're already doing that kind of thing. Just like attend this virtual event and get this NFT
but you couldn't
to show
really
off in your
prevent it
wallet.
from being sold, and that's why it won't happen.
That's a good question. Can you sell a POAP?
Well, there's.
I don't know the answer to that.
Actually, now I've convinced myself a little bit.
Great.
I mean, you're right. If you can sell it, then it doesn't hold value. Because like if I'm playing against another person in a game, or let's bring it to more real life with like a chess tournament, and I have my chess rating.
Yeah.
It's not decentralized like what we're talking about with NFTs and crypto.
Yeah.
It's centralized around the United States Chess Federation, manages everyone's rating. I would be hacking if I went in and changed all that, or, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe that wouldn't work, but.
Yeah. Or what's cool about it would stop being cool the moment you sold it.
Yeah.
It's like the reason it's cool is because it's the only way to get it is having done the achievement. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So.
Cut that out. That's stupid.
I don't know if we need to cut it out, man. Come on. I've said way more stupid
just
stuff
trying
on
to
this
add
show.
something. Hey, I have an idea. Okay, but so I don't know if there's any more to really say about the realness question. I don't know if there's a sub question, what someone is really trying to ask when they say that. Like, does it matter? Does it have meaning?
Well, the criticism might be it doesn't matter to you. Like, why are people spending so much on Fortnite skins? It's not real. It's like, well, but it does matter to them, and it is.
It has social status if
Yeah,
you have one.
right.
But it shouldn't. You might be right.
You might be right, but it does. Like, people collect stamps, people collect baseball cards, people trade hair online, you know, like there's a market for just about everything.
Look what's happening to the Oscars.
I don't know what's happening to the Oscars.
Exactly.
Oh.
So, like, it used to be really cool that someone won an Oscar or a movie did, because it used to map on a little bit more to like box office sales and like the really popular movies that everyone saw. Like that one won Best Picture,
and now everyone's binging whatever series they want.
Or just like I don't mean to get into the whole political thing, but like the shifting standards for what constitutes Best Picture. They're often films that no one really has seen that year, and
I got you. Yeah.
It was just kind of this niche, cool, weird little story that no one really saw, and it won Best Picture. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And people started to tune out to no one knows.
I don't know
what's up for Best Picture.
I don't know anyone who's won an Oscar in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So
anyway, but just to show that, what was I just saying?
We were talking about how there's a market for anything, and it's not valuable to you, but it might be valuable to someone else. And then you brought up the Oscars.
And it can shift. Things that were once valuable can shift in its status.
Yep.
And,
Yep. It does seem like we are on, like there's something of an inflection point in the exponentiality of the, like, technology growth and stuff. Like, to your point, we're now in 2022. I think I got my first VR headset in 2017, maybe. I might be wrong about that. Maybe 2017. Here we are 5 years later, and now all the big names are racing for this, like Microsoft, Apple, Meta.
I feel already a little bit left behind. But
Yeah. Well, that's how I felt just deep diving in crypto and NFTs this year. It's like, oh, there's a whole space emerging here with people who already know way more about this than me, and it was not on my radar a year ago at all. I just wonder how quickly this will happen, and whether, like the iPhone, how long did it take for the iPhone to become ubiquitous? When did you get your first smartphone?
2017.
2017.
Late.
That's a bit late.
It was late.
That's when I was stepping into virtual reality.
I had a flip phone for so long.
You did. Okay. So I remember when did they first come out? Somewhere like 2006, 2007, first iPhone.
Yeah.
So I think my brother's right on the early adoption edge with this stuff usually. So remember he got his then. I think I got mine, and I got a hand-me-down from him in 2009. And then by, I don't know, 2013, 14, most people had a smartphone.
Yeah.
If you didn't, you're in the minority.
Sure.
So like I'm wondering how quickly will whatever the killer device is, how quickly will that become ubiquitous?
Or the technology changes to such that it's more accessible. So think back in the 90s, so few people could like make their own website.
Yeah,
you had to like know how to code a little bit.
Right.
And now there's tons of companies like a Wix or something where you can drag and drop. It looks just like a Word document, and you can make your own website.
Website building
easily.
for dummies.
I see that. I don't know where we're quite at in that process. It feels like we are trending toward accessibility.
Yep.
But right now it still feels like a little bit tough. Like, what do I have to do? I have to get a wallet, a crypto wallet.
Oh yeah, like there's a learning curve for sure.
Yeah. Whereas I don't know is how much there will be one later.
Right.
With all these second layer platforms being developed, like if you're worried about like what's Bitcoin, how do I get into it?
Oh yeah.
At one point, not far down the road, there'll just be a little
you
button
won't have to worry about it
on your banking app now that'll just like transfer it over to Bitcoin.
It's in it just got leaked the other day. It's in some of Apple's code for the next iOS to just have crypto payments as part of baked into the Apple system is crypto payments. But yeah, you're right. Stuff like you shouldn't need to know or care that the technology underlying it all is NFTs. Like in the same way you don't care about HTTPS and you don't really care about how barcodes work. You just care that they do work. And it'll be the same way with NFTs, where the fact that a game uses NFTs should not be a selling feature. It's like, it should just be a good game. And it'll just be a given that, and the stuff in the game, I actually own it. And I can take it with me when I'm done playing the game.
So this is maybe a continuation of the use case discussion, perhaps in the more nefarious direction.
Mm-hmm.
But we would be remiss to not bring up like the ethics of it.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll just lay out the question is technology always morally neutral? And by that I mean the ethical impact of the technology is purely based on how the motivations, let's say, of the people using it slash the consequences, versus there's something innately nefarious about how the technology is designed to, I don't know, harness the worst parts of us or prey on harmful negative impulses. It's not totally neutral. Is it? Which one is it? Or does it depend on which technology we're talking about?
I'm wondering that. I'm wondering if it depends on which technology. Like, because just as you're laying that out, my gut is to say most technologies are neutral. They are tools that can be used in better or worse ways.
Because if someone were to fire off and say, well, look at all the great evil that you can do with it. Of course. Of course.
Like there has always been.
And I think that's always been the case with technology.
Yeah.
At one point, there were no axes.
Right.
And they're really, really good for chopping down trees.
Yeah.
You can also hack off limbs with them.
Yeah.
In battle.
Yeah.
So every technology has horrific use cases. I'm bringing up too many topics at once, but just following that logic, though, the concerned person might want to say, but at some point, tech reaches such a degree that it would be really nice to be able to pull the brake lever. It's too far. Too much destruction can happen. Well, so for the axe, its impact is so parochial. I can do the tree right here, or I could hack the limb right here, but it's all within arm's reach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very local.
Fast forward to the nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
This has killed many, many people.
Yeah.
Say what you will about the dropping of them, whether it was good or bad, people on both sides, but its scope for destruction and or possibly saving lives, actually, by ending the war, the magnitude of it is so great that many have called for the deproliferation of nuclear bombs. We should not have a world with nuclear bombs. They cause too many problems.
I feel more like, oh man, there's so many places we could take this. We do have a world with nuclear bombs, so now we need to deal with that. Like, I tend to think about technology as being something that comes on the scene and then is something we have to figure out how to relate to properly, because it doesn't go away. To your point, bad actors will always find a way to act badly using new technology.
And may even be developers of it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, could be. I wonder...
to do their bad actions.
I was tempted to say all technology is neutral. It depends how you use it. The limit case that I went to was the nuclear bomb, and I'm just wondering, okay, the intent behind building a bomb like that, what is the purpose of the tool?
To end what would be a prolonged war.
Okay.
It's of the scale that it can take out a whole rat bag city, and then the bad guys are all gone, and so they're not. It's in a just war theory scenario where there are people on the side of the good and on the bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that changes things.
That would be the rationale.
Yeah, because I was just thinking through like what. Okay,
and the tech, we have to be careful though. Like the tech really is. I might mess this up. Nuclear fission, the splitting
of it.
I don't know if that's only happening in the nuclear bomb. I mean, isn't that part of what's happening with like the possibility that could be what propels rockets to distant galaxies? Is you're getting the energy from that to propel?
I'm out of my depth, so I'm not going to comment.
Or is that fusion? It's one of those. But
fusion is what Doc Ock does in Spider-Man, right? He's trying to do fusion, and he makes the sun.
Bring together.
Yeah.
Fission, divide. Anyway, this sounds like the same kind of...
like, does it have use cases outside of destroying cities?
But the tech of, like, we can fart with molecules now. Whether to divide them or bring them together. Great. I can imagine great good coming from that same technology.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So what you're counting as the tech, like the bomb, well, someone just put the fission tech in a way that it just explodes on a city.
That feels like a line drawing problem, right? To me, a little bit. Because then ultimately you could just say all technology is moving atoms around differently. and it just depends how you move them around, whether or not it's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no...
I was trying to help your argument by bringing that.
Yeah. I was wondering, like, if you start with... Well, are you in agreement here that thinking about technology as just new tools is a fair way to think about it? Or am I smuggling in too much there? Because I think about a tool as having an intended purpose. Like a tool is a solution to a problem. I need to cut my flooring a certain way. I need this particular kind of saw that's going to cut it this exact way.
Yes.
So the problem is embedded in the technology. Like, it was created to solve this problem.
But it also, for the clairvoyant among us, it also solves other imagined problems.
Yep.
For instance, let's just go to the crass example of the smartphone.
Yep.
It solves a ton of problems pain points, let's say, of communication, makes it rapid. But someone might have the quote unquote problem of, I'm not able to see as many naked women fast enough as I possibly can.
And it solves that problem for them too. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, okay. I was trying to tease out, can you bake sort of moral intent into the building of technology? Like, how did this emerge on the scene but for somebody wanting to end lives in the case of a nuclear missile? Regardless, as it gets to, the metaverse, I am inclined to think about it as being, well, it's here, so we're going to have to deal with it. But I think it's going to be more and more how you use it, and I think it'll be used for great good, and I think it will be used for great evil as well, just like the internet itself has. It's really an extension of the internet.
I know, man, but there's well, okay, let me throw this at you. So, just on the topic of the sensual, because I think that's where many people go and their worries about it. And I'm sure there's listeners who there's no qualms at all about pornography or any of that.
Oh, just do whatever you want.
Yeah. But for instance, I know of people whose families have tolerated the risk of the smartphone and the access to that stuff at any moment. You can do that. Versus just how much more immersive the experience would be in an Oculus or VR that we can't. That's like just having a loaded gun in the house, not in a safe, just on the counter, and we can't have that in a way that this isn't. I don't know.
I mean, that might be. I don't know. I think it depends on the person. Like, all the technology is really allowing for. Well, I guess it depends on if you're talking about VR, AR. Like, if you're worried about the sensual stuff, it's not just porn, but there's already, virtual chat rooms where you can go get frisky with strangers. So, erotic role play, they call it.
Yeah.
We're going to virtually touch each other and be wearing haptic vests or whatever. It's going to get to the point where, like that Black Mirror episode, I don't know, you've got some little brain-computer interface, and if you want to have a completely convincing sexual encounter with a virtual person, I expect the technology to reach the point where you could do that.
Yeah.
And for some people, that might be like having a loaded gun in the house. If that's something that presents a real temptation to you, then you will have to avoid that part of the metaverse in the same way you avoid strip clubs and prostitutes or whatever else might lead you off the righteous path. Where I start,
but okay, the comeback is, and I'm just using this sensual arena as just one. I'm sure there are other, I don't know, their violence.
Yeah,
would
I'm
be
sure
another
there's
area
really gross, weird stuff,
entertaining,
niche
gory
communities.
Yeah. The ease of access is, in a way, and the ease of access plus how visceral and encompassing the experience is unlike anything we've ever seen yet.
Right.
And so all the stopgaps you have to go through to go to a strip club or to go to a cockfight or the roosters fight each other or something.
Yeah.
I have to I really have to intentionally have to get in my car and drive, and my gas meter will be lower. I don't know if my spouse is going to check that and where'd you go for that long? And you have to make up this whole alibi, and maybe you'll smell cigarettes and booze coming back from someplace. All these different things. And here is bing, and I'm experiencing it.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. There's something about that.
Yeah, the
It's
barrier
so,
to I think you're wise to recognize that as being a real
yeah,
problem. Like if we you and I have already
barrier
talked.
to entry lower, depth of depravity greater. Or
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends how depraved you are, but like, no, I think you're right. You and I have talked about this. That
or
you
the
know,
damage that can be caused.
we both have kids that we're thinking about how we're going to raise them in a world where pornography is immediately available to them. They are going to grow up in a world where VR and AR has always existed. You know, they won't know a time before. What do you mean I can't just teleport and be wherever I want? Like, that's going to be normal for them. And I think one of the challenges that hasn't been sorted out yet in the VR space is age differences. And this can be really weird. Like, I've spent a decent amount of time in VR. New MMO just came out, Zenith. So it's like it's a big open world game with lots of players, and you've got 50-year-olds and you've got 10-year-olds, you know, in the same what feels like physical space. It feels almost like a school playground. You know, there's groups of people. I can hear them chatting over there, and I see this group, and what are they up to? And you can just go say hello and introduce yourself.
Oh.
It's like it's a social space, but none of the social norms of age barriers are there or
because you're
evident.
some weird avatar. You're saying like
Exactly. You don't look like you.
fox
Nobody
or
knows how old
yeah.
you are until you open your mouth and, oh man, okay, he's only like 10. Which is, for someone like me, it's okay. I can like, okay, I'm going to chat to some, I'll play with some kids here. All right, that'll be fun. At least I'll suspend my disbelief and I'll become childlike a little bit for a while. Honestly, I think that's probably good for adults to do from time to time. But man, if you're a bad actor and you want to groom kids or you want to get alone with a kid, you can probably do that in VR. Like, you can certainly find kids to chat with in VR pretty easily. So, and not only that, obviously that's like, there's pedophiles out there and whoever else wants to prey on these kids. But more than that, there's just the challenge of how do you navigate social dynamics, the way adults
and
talk
again,
amongst
there's
themselves.
versions of all that stuff on Web 2, if we can call that just like the screen version.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all a thing.
Yep.
It's not fair to contrast it with like just without internet at all, and just the need to go out of your house to perform these bad acts.
Yeah.
Can all be done digitally now.
Right. That's true. The other thing is too, though, like, I guess some of these apps have protections in place for if your physical space gets invaded. Because like people can just come up to you, you know, like I've had people just come up to me and hug me in VR, which is very like, oh, okay. Like nobody does that really in real life, that a stranger would just come up and hug you.
Yeah.
I know in Meta's app, Horizons, there's like an emergency button combo you can hit. I think if you just clench both your hands like that, it just puts you in a void where there's nobody else near you. So like if it's all getting too intense or you're socially anxious or whatever, just disappear and go to the void.
Oh.
So you can always block other players or not see them. But I don't know how apps are going to figure this out, because it's even the kinds of things I want to talk about with adults, I would not sometimes talk about with kids present, or it wouldn't be appropriate.
Yeah.
Or the kind of play that I have with my mates is just very different than a 10-year-old who doesn't have the social skills of like, hey, don't talk constantly, or like, don't constantly be trying to get everybody's attention about every little thing you're doing, you know, leave some silence on the mic.
Yeah.
You just get exhausted with that. So I don't know how they're going to solve that, because it is like a public space. It's like a new kind of a town square, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But there's no, what do you have? Do you have moderators in your game that are like the police of the game, and they're like walking around, and if you're a bad actor, they ban you. They hit you with a literal ban hammer, and then you leave.
Incinerate. In this...
I don't know what the answer is, but it's coming. It's coming soon. I mean, it's already here.
And so the point, I guess, what you're implying then is, or let's kind of just close by formulating the little argument. Technologies come, and there's no stopping it unless you're in a totally crazy authoritarian, totalitarian state. There's the free exchange of ideas. Someone will be incentivized to come up with an idea that
Provides value.
and so technology is ever coming. And when it comes, we need to, it'd be cool to have done some legwork to prepare, but it's hard to prepare if it's a truly innovative technology because you can't think of it.
Yep.
When it's innovative. And then the question is, then we have all these liberty discussions of what ought to be allowed. Do you try to, does Congress step in and try to regulate all these companies? Well, does that just create black market metaverse participants, and you can log on to their service and do your crazy stuff? You know?
Yep.
Is that what we're saying? It's just that's the way of the world, and there's no sense in trying to censor anything, or don't go on this crusade of, say, don't ever buy one, or I don't know. But you're not really saying that. Like, an individual might.
I'm certainly not saying don't buy a headset. I own a headset. I think there's great value and promise here. Well, and I think I'm particularly sensitive to it because I'm someone who doesn't live near many of my loved ones. So for me, it provides a way to connect people. It solves a very real problem in my life, which is that I don't get to hang out with the people I love as much as I would like. So if I can meet up with a friend in VR and play mini golf, and it really feels like we're here playing mini golf, that's awesome. There's tremendous value in that. And the fact that there are places in the metaverse that I will avoid, you know, doesn't detract from the great good that I have already experienced as a result of this technology.
What about someone who would fire back and say, like, it's going to cheapen the real world experience, or I don't have it quite articulated, or displace it in some way, or you're going to be so changed by this probably really regular use of it that it's just not how humans are constituted, how we were maybe evolutionarily evolved to participate in physical space, and that's how we're made up. And to be all the bad stuff that people like a Jonathan Haidt have declared about smartphones and the whole social dilemma stuff, and how this is warping our brains for ill. How much more so this, even more inceptioned away from real life. I don't know.
Real life. See, that's where
I use that phrase.
That's where you lose me, because I do think that
physical. How about this? Physical embodied space.
Now, what's interesting is this whole metaverse is designed to emulate physical embodied space. It's the way we're currently interacting doesn't emulate that. It's all text on a screen with thumbs.
Maybe this is the worst.
We're actually trying to make it more like this, you know? I can hear, and I hear the complaint there. Like, I don't know whose voice this is, but I can hear it. Well, this is just a way for man to try to play God. You know, this is a way for man to design whatever experience. This is the experience machine, just hedonism taken to its max.
Yeah.
Just
or the movie Inception, as I mentioned it, with Leo, right?
Yep.
And there's a scene where, I don't know what's going on in the movie. There's this whole basement full of people like on the drugs that make you go into the dream state, and they hang out in there 18 hours a day, and they wake up briefly because the tech isn't to the point where you could always be on it. But the participants report that when they are coming off the drugs, that they are now dreaming.
Yeah, so which one is the real life ends up switching for them, right?
Yeah.
They spend most of their time in the metaverse. That becomes the more meaningful avenue of experience than the waking world.
And then I wake up and I walk into Burger King and do my shift, my life, and then I go home.
So I can go start my real life.
Finally.
Yeah. I mean,
that'll happen.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I get
if it gets good, better and better and better.
There's this dystopian trope of like the Ready Player One world where some powerful mastermind sort of is controlling the oasis.
There's these towers of slums.
And you're all locked in there.
Yeah.
And everybody should be happy with just a small room like this and just plug in your headset. You don't need any more than this. So just plug in your headset and you can have whatever experience you want. Yeah.
What if that happens? That could easily happen.
Maybe. I think I'll be curious to see when it...
This is what's so nefarious. This is what's so insidious about like the equity of outcome crowd. Like when this gets introduced, think of how much leverage that could pull. Like, you don't need these big properties or houses.
You actually don't even need to own a house. You don't need to own that.
Yeah,
just pay a monthly sub for a room. and then just be in VR and play games and then sell your NFTs, and that'll pay your bills, and you never need to leave VR. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm curious how long it will take before the technology's there to where the fidelity
For AR.
is for VR is truly indistinguishable.
Oh.
Because like right now,
Can't we just assume that
it will reach that
for
point.
the purpose of...
Because like I guess there's already these military grade headsets that like,
that'd be cool to try out, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Look at me.
they're crazy. You're on both sides of it. Ooh, that'd be cool.
Decrying its
Yeah.
wickedness, and then the moment there's a better version.
I think we'll get there. This would be a whole other discussion, but I do think brain-computer interfaces is probably where it ends up going. The Neuralink stuff.
That's the augmented reality path.
No, it'd be VR or AR. It'd be some computer directly interfacing with your brain. No screens. No screens in front of the eyes.
The Black Mirror
The Black
thing with
Mirror, the little bean thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where it ends up, because that would allow you to experience sensation for like limbs you don't actually have. You know, you could have a third arm in VR and control it and feel it, because it's all just brain stuff. I don't know how far away any of that is, but I am interested. There is something, I agree, that feels sad if the world was just a bunch of humans with headsets on and like nobody's going outside to watch the sunset. You know, like something about that feels sad. I don't think we reached the point where everybody's doing that. I mean, I think there are enough people who would just be like, no, it's not for me. I need to be in the outdoors, where it won't reach that point. But I reckon a lot of time will be spent increasingly, maybe this is it. The line will get blurrier of like, yeah, what is the physical reality and what's the digital reality? If it ever reaches the point where you have some piece of tech that's embedded in you, it won't really matter if something's digital or physical in terms of felt experience. Here we are in my room, and we both see this picture on the wall.
Now I'm
Do
not.
we care?
Now I'm not as happy about the if it's real question.
Because of what I just said?
Yeah. Now I'm more worried about it.
Tell me about
That
it.
it's not real.
What if you have a harder time distinguishing which parts are physical and technology driven and which parts are which parts are digital?
I don't know if I can articulate the fear, but just
You don't want to lose touch with the real. We don't want that.
yeah. The more high fidelity you make the thought experiment, the more freaked out a little bit I think I get about
Yes, because
the what is real question.
Yeah.
Because it's more indistinguishable.
yeah.
Right now, like, oh, it's obviously, well, I can clearly tell what's physical and what's not, and it's all real in the sense that like people value it, but like concrete
the base layer of reality. Yeah. I want to know what's the base layer. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's going to be interesting, man. Well, it's here.
It's happening so fast.
It's happening, so we're going to figure it out as we go.
So you would say that, like, just what's the takeaway then for our ethical thinking about it? Judge for yourself whether this is a technology that you can handle morally. I get here. Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
I guess
That's where I
so.
wanted to go for a second. Is like, it's not entirely obvious that humanity is morally ready for this.
Mm-hmm.
We're barely hanging on by a thread with this thing, let alone what's gonna come
Yeah.
from that. And I get that actually trying to develop a policy or a politic that has good rules for how this should go, or that we should actually try to censor it. I don't even know if that's possible or feasible, but it just worries me, I guess, that we're not actually ready for it.
Yeah.
It's just too much,
It is a lot.
but it's coming,
It's coming.
and there's nothing we can do about it.
No. Can't beat 'em, join 'em. Yeah. I don't know if I have a great takeaway for us ethically. I mean, for me, man, it really just feels like another. It feels like another space, and I'm the same person, and I try to carry myself ethically the same across any domain I inhabit, be it virtual or physical. Especially as it pertains to interacting with other people. Like, it might be an avatar, but it really is a person, you know.
Well, dude, okay. No, we're running a little long. That's okay. It's my podcast. I want to talk about it. So, now, what do I really want to say? I'm worried that ethic not only is just really hard to maintain, but not that many people hold that view. I'm thinking of online gaming and the amount of abuse, and done in the spirit of just a game.
It's a game, yeah.
So like, there's this notion of ganking.
Yeah.
In a MMO, which kind of has this texture of like, there's a little avatar, and that there's a real person controlling that often.
Yeah.
And he's way lower level, meaning I could just kill him in one hit if I wanted to.
Greatly disadvantaged.
And it's super annoying to have that happen to you. Just run up and
it's like, okay, well done, mate. You got me. You're wondering,
but that conflicts with what you just said about, like, I'm the same person no matter what space I'm in, and I carry my ethic with me wherever I go. But there's something about that space and the context of it that actually threw the ethic out the door, because you wouldn't have you don't do that to to people in real life and physical space.
Yeah, yep. So I got you.
And nor are you, or the correlate of a rude, frustrating thing, you're not doing either.
Yeah.
It's the anonymity, it's the context of it that.
Well, it's the context of that's what the game is. It's a player versus player game called Warcraft.
Yeah.
Where you make war. So, like, if you didn't want to experience PvP, don't join a PvP server. Yeah. So I have no problem with it in a game like that. Right. And same thing in VR. Like, I've played Contractors, and I definitely shoot people in VR because that's the game. Like, I'm going to shoot you. But insofar as a particular, what are you giggling about?
I don't know, because I mean, that's kind of funny. Yeah.
It's the intent of the space. We all launched this app to shoot at each other. So now here we are meeting in this space with guns where we're going to shoot at each other.
This very embodied thing where you're shooting people with guns.
Yeah. And you know what I think would make it weirder and actually would give me pause on ganking somebody is the voice chat. Like, if there was just open mic voice chat and I could hear this guy saying, dude, please don't kill me. Come on, man. Then I wouldn't. I really wouldn't, you know? I wouldn't be able to bring myself to do it, I don't think, if I could hear a human begging me not to. So maybe that's a little different, because in VR you've got the voice, and it communicates proximity, like they can sound further or closer, and they really do sound like they're right there, and you can turn your head and see them, and they can just like. It is interesting, even just with controllers in a headset, how much body language you can get from that, let alone the full body tracking. So, but it depends on the context of the app that we've all launched. Like at the end of the day, we are all going to spaces where we agree to play by this set of rules. That's what it means to be in this space.
Oh man, I am trend toward libertarian at heart, but there's something like that makes me want to crack down on it.
Too much freedom.
Have you seen the game? There's a point and click game where like it's Donald Trump getting assassinated over and over, and you are a Secret Service person, and you're trying to jump in front to dodge it.
I have not seen that.
And it's like an instant restart. You can do it like 15 times in 1 minute.
Yeah.
And you can purposely really fail to be a good Secret Service person to watch DT get owned over and over. Yeah, crazy little game that I saw. But to do that in VR, it's like, I don't know, it can become like a strange little training ground where like it's so physical and embodied that you're like being an assassin, and it feels like you're really stabbing.
Well, dude, this is the thing. It will trigger PTSD in people who have, they've had events with guns.
Could it create murderers? People that wouldn't otherwise do it start to feel comfortable with like, oh, I'm stabbing somebody. It really feels like
I see like a desensitizing argument.
Kind of like how our parents viewed Grand Theft Auto.
But in this case, you really are acting it out.
And it was so like, I'm pressing buttons though, dude.
It
like,
was just abstract.
But now it's like, I hold a knife and there's this avatar, and the technology isn't that far away from producing a sensation, I don't think. Maybe it is, but...
I suspect... What do you reckon about this? Because I hear what you're saying. Like, I've played some games like, Blade and Sorcery, where you're chopping people up with swords or whatever. And it's not, graphically, it's not... It does not look anything like if I actually cut into somebody's flesh. if it reached the point where it was that graphic, and it really felt like I was doing it, I don't think I would play that game. I don't know I don't know how many people would. Like if you were playing through, imagine you had to go through like a Fallout story or a Far Cry story, and it really does feel like a tiger is jumping on you and you've got to slit its throat and then you've got to sneak up behind this guy and stab him in the heart. Like if it really feels like you're doing all that stuff and you have the wherewithal to play the game, then I do start to wonder
given that I could barely cross across a room in the Half-Life game out of fear.
Yeah, I would like to think the same impulses that stop you from being violent in real life might also, the thing that kicks on and says that's a real sentient person, don't hurt them, you know, like I would hope that gets triggered in VR as well. Anyway. I don't know, we're just not there yet.
Yeah.
But it's coming. Ask me in 10 years.
Yeah. I don't know, I feel like maybe I'm not the best person for this, but I feel like someone who's really opposed to it would have some
better pushback.
Yeah. But technology's coming, and it's always been the onus of human beings to do ethics. We need to keep doing ethics. That's not something that was settled with Plato and Aristotle.
Yeah. But our environment's always changing.
We need to confront it as it comes.
And it's changing.
And the answer isn't just outlaw it.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't worked and it often doesn't work.
And it has great use cases. Like it really does solve some problems.
Yeah. Certain activities should be illegal.
Yeah.
Because they cause harm to people, like murder.
Yes.
But the tech, I don't know if that works.
Yeah, I think it's ambiguous. Yeah.
All right.
So there's an intro to the metaverse, guys. Hopefully that was.
But I'm going to clip out that intro that you did.
That little definition at the start.
That was great.
All right.
Very helpful.
Hope that was helpful.
Yeah.
I'm by no means an expert. I'm just an early adventurer into this space. So if any of you guys are chilling in the metaverse and you want to play some mini golf, hit me up.
So thanks for coming along for that ride. I'm going to say this at the opener of the next one so that more people hear it. But some housekeeping. Ooh. We have switched where the blog is located.
Oh yeah, tell me.
So I've just grown fond of this place called Substack. A lot of disaffected journalists have headed there upon being canceled for various reasons. And it's just a way for content creators to monetize their work. We're not going to do that straight away or anytime soon, but that's why a lot of people have flocked there. And it's pretty cool because so far there hasn't been like a clean place other than our own personal website to house both the podcast and the blog.
Oh yeah.
Like I've been sending it out through MailChimp, so it goes to the inbox and it's an email. Yeah. And they may never go to our website or see a pod. It's just more disconnected. Here, if you were to subscribe, just like you have been, then you would see the blog and the podcast on one
all in one place
feed. Yeah.
Brilliant. Substack, so what's the URL?
openatruth.substack.com.
Beautiful.
Yep.
openatruth.substack.com.
And I've named the blog Stay Curious.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's good. The Stay Curious blog. All right.
And it's a cool way. Like, it doesn't have to be a blog. Like, it also functions in a Twitter-esque sense.
Oh, okay.
So I could send out a little message.
So for all your OTT goodies, you want to be subscribed to the Substack.
And we still have our website, openatruth.com. Yeah. But
cool.
It's cool to be on a platform with other content creators.
Yeah. All right, sweet. If you have any comments, anything to add, or you want to ask a question, you can do that on this YouTube video if you're watching that. And if you're listening, you can write to us mailbag@openatruth.com. Check out the Substack, and we'll see you next time. Stay curious.